Hello and welcome to the show. On the program tonight, going to the chapel. A local church is putting on a fundraiser for Pioneer Lodge renovations. But first, the municipal budget is out and we brought an economist in. He takes the desk with Mayor Mulligan right now on Around the Region. Later in the show, remembering lost loved ones. We visit Jarita Nasus' family in Onion Lake as they continue to cope with her unsolved murder case. Welcome to the show. In studio with me now are two of my favorite gentlemen from the city. We have Phil Allen from Lakeland College. He's going to be acting as our economic analyst. Is that a fair title for you today? And Mayor Jeff Mulligan, who just delivered his budget just 2 weeks ago here now. So you guys have both looked at the numbers, obviously, here. Jeff, you're saying this is a catch-up budget, and you're sort of catching up from past stuff. What are we catching up from, and what are we aspiring to? Well,
it's a good question. Not really catch up, but there's no sense looking backwards. What we're doing is we're setting the stage where we can bring innovative programs, best staff, we can retain them, we can bring service levels up, and we can have the money ready when we get the opportunity to partner with the respective provincial governments.
And Phil, you were saying before when we were talking that this is sort of a more forward-thinking budget. What makes you think that about these numbers?
Well, it certainly is. When an economic recovery hits, not that we're in a deep, just a little bit of a slowdown, a city has to be ready to take advantage of it. And if you don't have the infrastructure, and if you haven't made the plan and the footwork, you don't get to reap the benefits of an economy. You're always 1 year, 2 year, 3 year behind. And so in order for you to put yourself in a position to say, hey, are we ready to go? If a company wanted to come in here next week, next month, next year, are you ready for it? Or do you have to say, sorry, we don't have our infrastructure in place?
Right.
And so you can't take advantage of it. However, you've always got to be, I always caution people when they look at recovery, recession, statistics on unemployment, it's so regional based. You cannot take a paintbrush, even in Alberta, and say, Alberta was on a recovery stage, because Vermilion may not be. Lloyd may have never been in a recession. Right. And so you've got to be very careful when you're looking at a regional economy, looking at it strictly as regional and not take into account what's happened nationally per se, keep it in your mirror, or provincially. You've really got to look careful. And so this budget probably reflects more what this area went through versus what a Fort McMurray or Grand Prairie might have went through.
Is that sort of what you guys were looking at in these numbers too? Is this sort of a bounce back from the economic downfall?
You know, we didn't see any real material impact. I would never say we were even in a recessionary state here.
Right.
We saw some softening of house prices, which affected assessment in the prior year. But in reality, this is a growth budget that has resulted from consistent growth over the last many years. And we have to continue to provide the service levels, and we have to grow the mill rate and the tax base at the rate that our city grows.
And we were talking just before we came on camera here, and it is a 4% increase on average for most people on their property taxes. Now, Phil, you were saying that that's more than the average person is going to get in some sort of annual raise this year, right? And to a lot of people, they could probably see, 4% tax increase, $6.7 million surplus, what are they doing? But it's necessary, yes, is what sort of you were saying before.
Well, there's never a right time.
Right.
So you've got to do it, at the right time. It's got to get done. And whether you cushion it over 3 or 4 years, that doesn't soften the blow. What I was referring to the fact that from some people's point of view, 4% may not seem like a lot, but for not everyone is going to be impacted the same way. And it's certainly going to be more than other people. If you took an overall an income, then most people expect to get in raises. In fact, Statistics Canada indicate that most people are expecting about 1.5 this year. And so you can look at it from that point of view. Secondly, we know that not all tax increases impact people the same way. Those who can afford it, number one, if you're not a homeowner, it doesn't impact you.
Right.
Secondly, those who have a good paying job, they won't even feel it. Those who are struggling, one parent, one income families, they feel a little more. And the thing that we have here in Canada, we always have to be aware of, every cent you take after tax dollar out of people's pocket, it's going to impact someone somewhere. So there's what is called a marginal propensity to save, and Canadians are horrendous. In Japan, it's 90-10. For every 90 cents they earn, they save 10. In Canada, the last few years, it's been 105. For every dollar we earn, we spend 5 cents. But even during the best time economically, it was 3 cents, so it was 97. We spent 97, saved 3. So if you impact that 3% savings, what do we stop buying? Restaurants, services.
Okay.
Maybe we don't enter into a fitness a program or use a fitness center as much. It has to come from somewhere. So my only concern is that you always have to, I'm sure Mayor Jeff took this into account, you always have to play that juggling act, make sure that it's fair, proactive, but does not impact that portion of it. And in reality, I looked at some of the numbers, it's such a small amount per house that nobody really will feel it per se, but I'm sure that was part of their dialogue.
Well, and a simple answer is this. What don't you want to have done that we're doing for you today? You know, if there's a service or services that the public say, those aren't valuable and we don't need those done by the city anymore, then we don't have to increase taxation. If we have to deliver a better service and we have to hire more people to equate to the growth of the city, it's primarily, this is a budget about building a stable team at the city. And there was no services when we analyzed this in depth. There was no services that people were writing in saying, Jeff, just quit doing that. Don't clean the streets anymore.
Yeah.
Don't do these services, and we don't need a pool. And so the reality is that you look at it, and here's what it costs to run the city. We divide that across my pocket and your pocket equally. That's all we can do.
We're going to talk more about this 2011 municipal budget just after this break.